All right, hi, I'm Heather Milam. I am your Democratic candidate for Secretary of State. St. Luke's Christian Church, thank you for having us, Pastor Lewis, thank you so much. And you said something when opening this event tonight. You said voting, it's a matter of right. And that's why I'm seeking the office of Secretary of State. Alabama ranks 46th in voter participation. We continue to put up barriers between our voter registration and our right to vote. That is wrong. We need to remove those barriers. We need to expand precincts and voting locations. We need to expand early voting. We need automatic voter registration for young adults turning 18 because it is a right according to the Constitution and the 26th Amendment. That is something my opponent doesn't believe in. So I'm seeking this office to make sure the Secretary of State office is a resource for you. It needs to work efficiently for citizens of Alabama, and I think it's time we elect someone to that office who genuinely wants to put the public back into public service and serve the citizens of Alabama. Thank you so much.
Several of you have talked about how important it is to vote. Alabama makes it hard to vote. The facts show that the problem of voting twice or dead people voting is really small. The facts show that standing in the way, disenfranchisement is a real problem. I'd like to hear, particularly you and the probate candidates, what you have to say, but what anybody has to say about that.
All right. So thank you for paying attention to that and for also pointing out the reality of what we're dealing with. There have been studies upon studies showing that voter fraud truly is statistically almost non-existent. But let me also say this, when it happens, it's a very serious issue. And that is something that we do need to pay attention to. But when you look at the last survey I saw, looked at over 1 billion votes that were cast between the year 2000 and 2017 nationwide, and there were only, out of over 1 billion, 31 cases of in-person voter fraud. Again, statistically, that's non-existent. I think the bigger challenge here in the state of Alabama is that we continue to put barriers up into accessing our right to vote. I'm going to give you a few examples. When the voter ID law went into, when we passed the voter ID law a few years ago, it had been queued up and waiting in Montgomery for when we gutted the Voting Rights Act via Shelby versus Holder, and SCOTUS ruled on that and gutted provisions within the VRA. Alabama and many other states began to pass rules making it harder to vote, solving problems that they said existed, but in fact really don't. So they were selling us a bill of goods to put up additional barriers to us accessing our right to vote. In addition to the voter ID laws, regardless of how you feel about them, it is the law here in the state of Alabama, they also began closing precincts. That not only happened in Alabama, it started happening in Arizona, and in Texas, and in Georgia, and in Alabama, and in North Carolina. This is a strategy. The strategy is to take away our right to vote. That is what's left between us and maintaining our democracy, right? If power continues to be accumulated at the top, what do they not want us to do? Vote. Because we are the majority. People in America and in Alabama genuinely want to go vote. But when we condense our voting process into a small 12-hour window on a Tuesday, we're not doing anything to help people vote. So we've got to change that. So that's kind of what I'll say about that. I'm a little passionate about that.
Yes, and kind of go ahead and kind of piggyback on what Heather was saying at this point. It has become a disenfranchisement. There's been, mechanisms put in place to suppress the vote. Now, more so a lot of times with the minority vote. As you mentioned, about a lot of the precincts and polling places being closed, especially we've seen recently over in Atlanta where, they were in South Georgia where they began to try to close down some precincts. Those precincts were heavily populated with minorities. And that's why I think it's very important that we get the right people in office, Secretary of State, also probate judges. So probate judges are the ones that go around and, you know, select the polling places, select the poll workers. And I think it's very important that a person going to come in and kind of be a, let's say, it's kind of a watchdog to make sure those things don't happen.